Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is actually really good, and I wasn't expecting that. When it first got revealed at E3 2013, I was actually kinda disappointed. Considering Retro Studios' techno wizardry, I assumed they do something to really show off the Wii U hardware, instead of, well, you know, Donkey Kong, which isn't exactly the most graphically impressive game out there, except for all that fur. I actually really liked Donkey Kong Country Returns, but considering it's their best-selling game, I assumed this would just be a little cheap cash grab. It also didn't help that one of Retro's main advertisements was a rotating camera, and Nintendo's idea of a big announcement was to have Reggie show up at VGX and be like, hey guys, by the way, Cranky Kong's in the game?
What more do you want?
But it ended up being really solid. The controls are really responsive and weighty. It actually feels like you're controlling a huge hunking ape, and the enemy design is a lot better and more varied than the wooden things from Returns. What is this meant to be? David Wise also returns from beyond the Donkey Kong grave to once again compose an absolutely fantastic score. Music is all around absolutely great, with the only track I don't like being one remix of the Rocket Barrel theme. I don't know, it just kinda sounds like a cat trying to play a recorder. However, this is the exception rather than the rule. The rest of the tracks are absolutely great. In fact, one thing I really like is how sometimes music will shift dynamically as to what's going on in a given level. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I absolutely love dynamic music. I can't get enough of that shit. Thank you, David Wise, you are a blessing. Hearing the music suddenly go all serene when you jump across some leaves or get exciting once things start getting hectic is absolutely brilliant, and I love it. Some of the bosses kinda suck though. I don't know, I should probably say something negative to not come across as being biased. A couple of them are alright, but some of them just go on way too long because you spend most of the time waiting for the boss to do something. They contain some good music though, and some of them offer an interesting but fair challenge despite what GameSpot might have you believe. I don't know, I guess some of them just feel a bit bloated. Oh, that was terrible. But none of this is what I made this video to talk about. So now I should move on to what's really worth mentioning, and that is Tropical Freeze's immaculate and rich story, truly moving the medium forward with its mature themes and... Wait, hold on a second. I'm reading the wrong script. Level design? Who cares? Tropical Freeze flat out offers some of the best levels I've ever seen in a 2D platformer. Now, I'm not exactly pretending to be some kind of platformer guru or anything, but these are really good. I forgot where I was going with that sentence, shit. First off, if you haven't noticed already, they are absolutely gorgeous. Each level is jam-packed with loads of detail and neat little touches. For example, in the backgrounds of a lot of levels in World 2, you can actually see the stage in which you fight the world boss. They're also absolutely bursting with colour and are just generally a lot more visually interesting than the ones in Returns. To top it all off, it looks superb running at 60 frames a second, even if some background objects are animated at a lower frame rate for some reason, which looks a bit odd. More important than the visuals though is the absolutely fantastic design and pacing on all of the levels. Almost every level introduces some new kind of gimmick, and although that sounds like a bit of a derogatory term, I mean it in the best way possible. There's some interesting new quirk to almost every stage, but what's all the more impressive is how each level paces these quirks. Each level that initially has to teach the basics of a new sort of quirk will have the challenge of said quirk ramp up significantly by the end of each stage. Here's a very basic example. At the start of one stage, the player is presented with an obvious hazard, the bombs. This is initially very easy for the player to get around, so there's no real danger for the player right here. However, soon enough the player has to figure out how to get around multiple moving bombs, before being taught that bombs can also destroy pillars in a safe environment, and then the player is thrown into consistently more difficult scenarios in which they have to manage watching bombs which might destroy pillars, which might destroy the barrel you're in, and you have to watch which way the barrel's facing. It's just so good. The way each level essentially offers some unique, very different challenge for the player to overcome by the end of the stage leads to consistent feelings of satisfaction that are actually earned rather than just being handed to the player. There's also loads of secret levels to unlock through some admittedly pretty hard to find portals in some levels, and even more secret levels to unlock if you find the Kong letters in each stage of a world. On the topic of secrets though, the one thing that does seem to lack a lot of creative inspiration are the secret rooms found in each level. I don't exactly care about the puzzle pieces anyway, so I could have had a bit more motivation to go in these if they weren't just the same thing almost every time. Now if maybe there were less of them, but each of them had some kind of unique platforming challenge, then I'd be up for it. But at the moment all the secret rooms amount to is just collecting all of the bananas. Like, what are they thinking, playing as some sort of monkey or something? This really is a minor case though, as puzzle pieces aren't mandatory and the rest of the game is designed with such creativity it's easy to overlook these little rooms. Despite the title making the game sound like the absolutely nightmarish prospect that is a platformer where all the levels have ice physics, the game is near perfect. Level design is really where it excels, and the title deserves to be recognised for that feature alone. So if you're tired of scripted sequences or cinematic frame rates being used in lieu of actual decent level design, then go pick up Tropical Freeze. You'll like it, unless you have objectively bad taste. Hi, hope you like this weird sort of ranty ramble kind of thing. I made this for a little site called gatheryourparty.com where I've been posting my content as of late. It has a lot of people there who you may or may not have heard of, and content which you'll probably like if you like my stuff, which you most likely don't. Tell me if you want to see more of this kind of content. It helps make things a little bit more honest because I'm just sort of speaking my thoughts, and also it helps get videos out a bit quicker, seeing as I don't actually have to script or, you know, really give a shit about what I'm saying. If you picked the game up because of this video, then do tell me, because I just like to know, and I hope you have a good time. It's one of those rare games these days that are actually fun. How about that? See ya.